The Department of the Interior and Local Government, Central Luzon, presents this series of instructional videos as part of the formulation and updating of LGU Comprehensive Development Plans.
Magandang araw mga kaplano. Para sa ating episode ngayon, ating tatalakayin ang monitoring and evaluation. Pag-usapan natin ang what o ano ang monitoring and evaluation at ano ang kanilang pagkakaiba. Ang why o bakit kailangang gawin ang activities na ito, when, kailan dapat gawin ang monitoring and evaluation, who, sino ang dapat gumawa nito, at how o paano gawin ang monitoring and evaluation. Magkakaroon din tayo ng quick summary at isang 5-item quiz. Ating tatandaan na ang monitoring and evaluation o M&E for short ay Step 13 ng Enhanced Comprehensive Development Planning Cycle. At dahil ang planning ay isang cyclical process o patuloy ang cycle na ito from one period to the next, napakahalaga ng role ng M&E sapagkat ito ang siyang link o siyang nag-uugnay sa isang planning cycle sa susunod na planning cycle. Magsimula tayo sa what. Pag-usapan natin kung ano ang monitoring, evaluation, ang difference o pagkakaiba ng monitoring and evaluation, ang relationship ng monitoring at evaluation, at ano naman ang plan, monitoring, and evaluation. So ano nga ba ang monitoring? Ayon sa DILG, monitoring is a continuous process of data collection and analysis to check whether a project is running according to plan and to make adjustments if required. It is an evaluative study directed to the short term. So ang monitoring daw ay isang tuloy-tuloy na process ng pag-collect ng datos upang malaman kung ang isang proyekto o ang pagpapatupad ng isang proyekto ay sumusunod sa plano at para malaman kung ano ba ang mga kailangan na pagbabago. Ayon naman sa United Nations, monitoring is a process of periodic routine measurement of development indicators for the purpose of identifying developmental trends. So ang monitoring ay isang tuloy-tuloy na pagme-measure ng mga indicators at ito ay para makapag-establish or para malaman ang mga patterns or trends sa mga indicators na ito. Ayon naman sa NEDA, monitoring is the timely gathering of information of project development inputs, activities, and outputs with the use of development indicators as a management tool. Ayon naman sa NEDA, ang mga indicators na gagamitin sa pagkalap ng impormasyon ay para sa mga development inputs, activities, and outputs. Ano naman ang evaluation? Ayon sa DILG, evaluation is a systematic process of tulad din ng monitoring, collecting, and analyzing information about activities and results of a project in order to determine the project's relevance or to make decisions to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of a project. Kapag sinabing efficiency, ito ang doing things right o achieving goals with the least resources. At kapag sinabi namang effectiveness, ito ang doing the right things o ang pag-pursue ng mga tamang goals. An assessment, as systematic and impartial as possible, of an activity, project, program, strategy, policy, topic, theme, sector, operational area, institutional performance, at iba pa. Ito naman ang definition ng United Nations sa evaluation. Sabi naman ng OECD, evaluation is systematic and objective assessment of an ongoing or completed project, program, or policy, including its design, implementation, and results. What is the difference o ano ang pagkakaiba ng monitoring and evaluation? Ang monitoring ay ginagawa through measurement, ang evaluation naman ay ginagawa through assessment. Gumagamit tayo ng indicators para sa monitoring at implementation and results naman para sa evaluation. Ginagawa natin ang monitoring para sa progress reporting, performance tracking, trends, and alert mechanism, samantalang ginagawa naman natin ang evaluation para sa relevance, lessons learned, information for stakeholders, policymakers, planners, at financiers. Kinukumpara ng monitoring ang planned versus sa actual, samantalang kinukumpara naman ng evaluation ang before and after. Continuous o routinary o tuloy-tuloy ang monitoring, samantalang ang evaluation ay during implementation, upon completion, or by a certain due date. Ang monitoring ay usually ginagawa internally. Samantalang ang evaluation ay maaring gawin ng internal staff at ng external na evaluators. Ano ba ang relationship ng monitoring at evaluation? Monitoring can reduce the need for in-depth or costly o magastos na evaluation if it is well-functioning and if it reveals and resolves problems in a timely manner. Ang monitoring din can indicate the need for an in-depth evaluation, pero in turn, in-depth evaluation can indicate the need for new or better monitoring. Ang mga naging discussion natin so far ng monitoring and evaluation ay madalas ginagamit sa discussion ng projects. Ngunit ano naman ang plan monitoring and evaluation? Plan M&E is concerned with effects of using the produced outputs o yung tinatawag nating outcomes, contribution of the outputs in achieving goals o yung tinatawag nating impacts, and the determination of impacts of public sector interventions tulad ng PPAs, services, regulatory measures, at ng private sector investments. Pero bakit mahalaga ang monitoring and evaluation? Alamin natin ang kahalagahan nito sa the cyclical planning process, long-term planning, sectoral planning, the 3-year ELA or the 6-year CDP, annual investment programming, at kahalagahan nito sa budget cycle. First, ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa cyclical planning process? M&E links one planning cycle to the next. It builds the planning database for successor plans. It generates new information such as outcomes of developments, effects of regulations, and impacts of implemented programs and projects. At ang M&E ay nagdedetermine din ng changes attributed to planned and unplanned developments. Second, ano ang importance ng M&E sa long-term planning? M&E identifies indicators that are not yet fully attained as of the start of a new planning period. It provides information on variances from the chosen spatial strategy or urban form, and M&E can reveal unrealistic assumptions ng previous planning period, or kung realistic man ang assumptions, ano naman yung shortfalls in needed interventions, mga kulang na programs, projects, and activities. Third, ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa sectoral planning? M&E determine changes in the current reality and for use in an updated vision reality gap analysis or tinatawag natin na VRGA. This is based on an updated ecological profile and the local development indicators. M&E also shows changes in the 5 development sectors: social, environmental, economic, infrastructure, and institutional. Pangapat, ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa 3-year ELA or the 6-year CDP? M&E provides feedback information on outcomes and impact for the successor or mga susunod na ELA or CDP. Ating tatandaan na ang effects of interventions do not manifest or hindi natin makikita until after 2 to 3 years from the completion of each intervention tulad ng mga projects. Fifth, ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa annual investment programming? M&E provides feedback information on the effects of the previous year's programs and projects that can be used in the prioritization of programs and projects para sa susunod na taon. Finally, ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa budget cycle. M&E provides feedback information on the previous year's output and monitored financial performance. M&E can improve the rationality of the budgeting process and ensure transparency and accountability through the assessment of utilization of inputs to produce outputs in realizing desired outcomes, and the extent to which public expenditure contributed to the attainment of broader social and economic goals. So yan ang mga kahalagahan ng monitoring and evaluation sa iba't ibang mga plano at paraan ng pagpaplano. Ngayon ay pag-usapan naman natin, kailan ba tayo nagmo-monitor at kailan tayo nag-evaluate? Ano ang M&E for short-term planning at ano ang M&E for long-term planning? The timing of M&E for short-term planning ay ideally during the hiatus or during sa break following the recent elections. Maganda ito sa second quarter in the 6-week interval between the election and July 1. M&E assesses the impact of the previous administration's 3-year Local Development Investment Program, Executive Legislative Agenda. M&E can also provide inputs to the ELA and LDIP of the succeeding administration. Maganda rin ang M&E sa fourth quarter of the second and third years of the incumbent leaders. M&E assesses outputs and financial performance for the year-end report of the local chief executive. M&E assesses the outcomes of completed budgets and AIPs of the last half of the previous administration, the last half year, and the first year of the incumbent administration. Ano naman ang timing ng M&E sa long-term planning? Ito ay maganda after the lapse of the CLUP, typically after 9 years. Ito ay dapat synchronized with the decadal national census o yung ating census na ginagawa every 10 years. This could give us better analysis of changes in growth and development vis-a-vis or face-to-face with the growth in population. Census years should mark the updating of ecological profiles, statistical compendiums, thematic maps, and other information. Ngayong nalaman na natin ang when o ang timing ng M&E, sino naman ang dapat gumawa ng monitoring and evaluation? M&E is the role of the Local Development Council, either through sectoral and functional committees or project monitoring committee. Role din ito ng City or Municipal Planning and Development Office, either through Planning Information and Management Division or a functional committee. Role din ang M&E ng Implementing Officer Agency, Legislative Oversight Committee, and ng stakeholders. The role of the LDC in M&E. Ito ay makikita sa Section 109 ng Local Government Code. Sabi rito, ang LDC ay dapat mag-coordinate, monitor, evaluate ng implementation of development programs and projects. At ito ay built-in sa function of sectoral or functional committees of the LDC. Ayon pa rin sa Local Government Code, functional and sectoral committees are directed to provide the LDC with data and information essential to the formulation of plans, projects, and activities. And itong mga data na to can come from baseline surveys, in-depth studies, and of course from the M&E. Ano naman ang role ng City or Municipal Planning and Development Office sa M&E? Ayon sa Local Government Code, ang function ng C or MPDO ay to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the different programs, projects, and activities in the local government unit concerned in accordance with the approved development plan. This may be done through the Planning Information Management Division, lalo sa mga LGUs with full-blown planning offices. It may also be done through a project management committee under the LDC or the sectoral committees of the LDC. especially for lower-income LGUs. Ano naman ang role ng implementing offices or agencies in M&E? Project monitoring results may be discussed in the executive meetings of LGUs, and information from short-term M&E and project information or project implementation ang may re-report sa mga meetings na ito. Ano naman ang role ng Legislative Oversight Committee in M&E? Legislative oversight is an integral part of the legislative process, and this refers to review and evaluation of the activities of the executive branch by the legislature. Ang sanggunian ay may duty to ensure that plans, programs, and projects are implemented and administered efficiently, effectively, and in a manner consistent with legislative intent. And this may be through special committees or standing committees. Finally, ano ang role ng stakeholders sa M&E? Kailangan natin ng participation in monitoring teams coming from civil society organizations and the private sector, and they can use various feedback mechanisms such as suggestion box, direct messages to local officials, or pagsagot ng mga surveys. Ngayong nalaman na natin sino ang dapat gumawa ng monitoring and evaluation, atin namang tignan paano ginagawa ang monitoring and evaluation. Magagawa natin to in 4 ways. Una, through an accomplishment report. Pangalawa, through the CBMS. Third, through LGPMS. At finally, by using itong ating tinatawag na monitoring and evaluation strategy template. Ating tignan itong accomplishment report for M&E. This is basically a form that shows the accomplishment of the LGU face-to-face or vis-a-vis with what was planned. So makikita natin sa first column ang mga programs and projects at nakakategorize sila into the 5 different development sectors. May mga columns tayo for the output indicators. Ano yung target for each indicator? Ano yung na-accomplish face-to-face with that target? Sino yung beneficiaries? Or ano yung areas na covered ng project? Ano yung estimated project cost? At magkano ba yung na-disburse? Another way of monitoring and evaluation is through the CBMS. Ang tinatawag natin na Core Local Poverty Indicators ng CBMS contain indicators on human development and are recommended as the minimum set that the LGU should use for assessing the extent of socioeconomic development sa bawat city or municipality. CBMS-generated data are most useful for impact evaluation purposes. CBMS monitored changes can be used as benchmarks para sa susunod na cycle of short and medium-term development plans. At ang use of CBMS can also extend to setting and exacting standards of performance from concerned LGU offices or frontline service providers. Third, magamit din natin ang LGPMS para sa M&E. The LGPMS is an LGU self-assessment tool that enables provincial, city, and municipal governments to monitor and evaluate their performance at 3 levels of results. Itong 3 levels na ito ay input, output, and outcome levels. The LGPMS looks at the local government in 5 performance areas, 17 service areas, and 107 indicators. LGPMS provides the process and the results that indicate the LGU's effectiveness and progress in promoting the general welfare of its constituents. Annually, the input and output dimensions of LGPMS indicators provide information as to the LGU's efficiency and its utilization of inputs to realize the output. So, bumabalik pa rin tayo sa pagmamonitor ng effectiveness and efficiency. Corrective measures to address the causes of unsatisfactory performance can also result from this type of monitoring using the LGPMS. By combining the use of LGPMS outcome indicator results with other appropriate tools, ang mga LGUs can meaningfully evaluate the extent to which public expenditures through the LDIP and the AIP contributed to the attainment of broader social and economic goals that were identified in their respective CDP and ELA. Finally, we can do monitoring and evaluation through the use of the strategy template for M&E. The purpose of this tool is to develop an approach to M&E that will yield good information to be used in the next planning period and for other decision-making purposes. This should be seen as an integral component of the planning process. At ang mga key elements or key components nitong strategy template ay una, clear and expected results, explicit targets per result, indicators to measure progress towards results, data source to assess performance, collection methods, frequency at which measurements will be made, and roles and responsibilities. Ito mga key elements na ito ay makikita natin sa template as different columns. Sa pinakaunang column, makikita natin dyan ang mga listahan ng results from goal, objective, outputs, activities, and inputs. To summarize, ating napag-aralan ang what, why, when, who, and how of monitoring and evaluation. Sa what, ating na-define ang monitoring and evaluation, ang kanilang pagkakaiba at ang kanilang relationship at ano ang Plan M&E. Sa why, ating nalaman kung ano ang kahalagahan ng M&E sa cyclical planning, sa long-term planning, sectoral planning, sa ELA, CDP, AIP, at sa budget cycle. Sa when, natutunan natin ang tamang timing or ang recommended na timing for short-term and long-term planning. Sa who, ating napag-aralan sino nga ba ang dapat gumawa ng monitoring and evaluation. Andyan ang LDC, ang C or MPDC, Implementing Officer Agency, Legislative Oversight Committee, at mga stakeholders. At sa how, ating tinignan ang 4 na paraan upang gawin ang monitoring and evaluation. Ito ay through accomplishment report, CBMS, LGPMS, at ang paggamit ng M&E strategy template. Handa na ba kayo sa ating 5-item quiz? Question number 1. This is a continuous process of data collection and analysis to check whether a project is running according to plan and make adjustments if required. Evaluation, review, reporting, o monitoring? Ang tamang sagot ay monitoring. Question number 2. This is a systematic process of collecting and analyzing information about activities and results of a project in order to determine the project's relevance or to make decisions to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of a project. Evaluation, review, reporting, o monitoring? Ang tamang sagot ay evaluation. Question number 3. This is an LGU self-assessment tool that enables provincial, city, and municipal governments to monitor and evaluate their performance. CBMS, LGPMS, or the M&E strategy template? Ang tamang sagot ay LGPMS. Question number 4. The following are involved in M&E except for LDC, CMPDO, legislative oversight, all of the above, or none of the above? Ang tamang sagot ay D, all of the above. Question number 5. M&E is important in the following except for long-term planning, sectoral planning, investment programming, all of the above, or none of the above? Ang tamang sagot ay all of the above. Maraming salamat mga kaplano sa inyong pakikinig at nawa ay marami tayong natutunan sa episode na ito.